Welcome back, Truth Seeker. It is Saturday, August 26th, 2023. You might recall earlier this year we had the Nashville private school shooting, and we talked about how it seemed like that shooting event in Nashville was pointing to another significant mass shooting in the news on August 26th. And again, if you weren't here then, just let it be known that we had this date circled specifically for a significant mass shooting. Now, again, this started in Nashville. We're going to come back to why Nashville matters in light of today's shooting in Jacksonville on the 5-year anniversary of the Madden football game tournament shooting. That was blamed on a Jewish gamer, was the way Reuters headlines read, which is interesting because Reuters doesn't normally write things like that. Jewish gamer? I mean, that's a pretty strange headline. But recall, it wasn't that long ago, it was last year, you had the Buffalo Tops mass shooting on Israel's 74th birthday, the Jewish nation. And I traveled to Buffalo and I educated that area for a week about Gematria and the repetitive pattern of 74 in mass killings, mass shooting stories. Now look, they're saying today's shooting was done by a white supremacist killing 3 black men, and we're going to bring this all together. But they're also saying the killing was on King Road. And this is right where we're going to begin. Just like I went to Buffalo and mostly taught about the number 74. And let's not forget that this is on the 5-year anniversary of the Madden shooting in Jacksonville. And the shooter was said to be a Buffalo Bills fan from Baltimore. Jacksonville opens their year with the Colts, who are originally from Baltimore, but we'll get to all that. Anyway, we went out to Buffalo and we educated about 74 and this killing pattern and this white supremacy pattern. So here we are today in Jacksonville, which has this connection with Buffalo through the last shooting because the shooter was in a Buffalo Bills jersey. And Buffalo recently got shot up on Israel's 74th birthday, also in a consumer store, Tops. But notice how in Gematria, Dollar General equals 74, like Jacksonville, like how the king right now is 74 years old. Again, the shooting was on King's Road. And notice how white supremacist is 74. And again, this is part of a long pattern. And let's not forget what happened this year on the king's 74th birthday. Or I should say it was last year, but within the last year, when the king turned 74, it was November 14th, 2022, and there were 2 stories that broke in the news that day that had all kinds of parallels. One was 3 University of Virginia football players were killed. 3 Virginia Cavaliers were killed. And also that day, at the University of Idaho on Kings Road, 4 students were killed. In today's story, they went from 4 killed down to 3 killed. But Kings Road and the Cavaliers, remember, this is King Charles, and those who fought for King Charles in the English Civil War of history's past were called Cavaliers. And King Charles was the son of King James, and that's why LeBron won it for the Cavaliers on the real King James's birthday, June 19, 2016. And then he dropped 27 points, and then Nate Thurmond died 27 days later at age 74. Nate Thurmond, who had his number 42, retired with the Warriors and Cavs. But okay, again, just these patterns. And we've been talking about some of these other UK death stories. The woman who disappeared earlier this year in 74ville, 74 days from the king's birthday, and so on and so forth. This pattern with the king in 74 has been building this year, but always the 74 and white supremacy. And white supremacy, the royal family very white, England having a lot to do with the whitewashing of history. But just to give you some other 74s and shootings that were racially charged as today's being presented, Dylan Stormroof. Recall the Dylan Stormroof killing in Charleston, which came 74 days from the Walter Scott killing on the anniversary of the MLK killing. MLK's mother was killed in a huge 74 ritual as well. But notice, those 2 shootings were 74 days apart, and they said both Dylan Stormroof and the officer who shot Walter Scott, the unarmed black man, as it was presented, those shootings 74 days apart, but Dylan Stormroof 74 like white supremacists. And that church where Dylan Stormroof shot it up, the historically black church, was on Calhoun Street, just known as Killing, Calhoun, Holiday, Jewish, Jesus Cross, Messiah, Gospel, Parables, Lucifer, Cold English, Gematria, all 74, including Energy. And remember last year on the 4th of July, you had a shooting in the Chicago area blamed on a Jewish rapper. Again, so I guess sometimes they do that in the headlines. They'll say it was a Jewish shooter, a Jewish rapper, a Jewish gamer. They did that. And again, Bills, right? Buffalo, where the top shooting happened on Israel's 74th birthday, just to reiterate the point and be super redundant to make sure it's sinking in. One of the killed in the church shooting in South Carolina was a 74-year-old man. And you know what's funny? Remember when I was in Buffalo? Chris Singleton. Remember Chris Singleton supposedly lost his mother in the church shooting, and, you know, he kind of... if you guys missed that, I met him in Buffalo at the top shooting, and he got to go on the news there because he's connected to these from that. But him and I ended up doing a live stream, and after we did the live stream, then he reached out to me, and he offered to pay me money to have the videos taken down, and I said I didn't want any money, but if it was that bothersome to him, I'd take down the videos, which I did. I'm almost going to try to reach back out to that guy and see if it's sinking in yet or if it's even possible to. But I was trying to educate to him about why this same pattern will keep persisting. And you have to understand it wasn't Dylan Stormroof essentially that killed your mother. You know, it's something bigger than that behind that. And don't forget, they said they got Dylan Stormroof. A woman named Debbie Dills spotted him on Interstate 74, and they took him to the Burger King. Now we're back on Kings Road. For the record, in Gematria, the king equals 74 as well, just to be fair. But okay, when the Buffalo top shooting happened, remember it was synced with O.J. Simpson, who's the big Buffalo sports star. Oh, by the way, one of the killed in the Dylan Stormroof shooting, Clementa C. Pinckney, 74. But the Buffalo shooting happened while O.J. was 74. And it was on Jefferson Avenue, the top shooting. Jefferson Avenue, Thomas Jefferson and John Adams both died on the same day, 7/4, July 4th, 1826, and then 1,826 days later, Monroe died on 7/4. Again, all those 74 words. 74, the killing number. Gematria, the practice carrying numbers into words. The song Gematria, the killing name. The 74th day of the year to remember the killing of Caesar by stabbing, which is another 74 word. But yeah, this post is from 5 years ago. And, you know, just pointing out the same thing. Jacksonville, active shooter, Jewish, Gematria, English, killing, all 74. I mean, we've talked about this, but you know, before this post was made, I was harping on about 74 for 5 years straight. Now it's another 5 years later. And just the same exact things keep persisting. So, going back to this older story, just to read, a professional video gamer from Baltimore is suspected of killing at least 2 people and wounded several others on Sunday when he opened fire at a video game tournament that was being streamed online from a restaurant in Jacksonville, Florida. Police and local media said. David Katz, 24. Well, now here we come. David Katz, 24, of Baltimore, then turned the gun on himself. Now, if you have not been following my work, we've been talking about all the Baltimore-related football deaths this offseason. And Jacksonville begins their season... Here, let me take it from the top here. I think I got it up here. Jacksonville does play Baltimore later this year. Shoot, where do I have it at here? I know I got it in this post. Hold on. Do I not? What? I guess I forgot to put the screenshot in here. But here, let me just show you the Jaguars' schedule. That's the football team in Jacksonville. Their first regular season game is September 10th. September 10th, okay? They're playing the Colts, who are originally from Baltimore. The Colts are originally from Baltimore. All off-season, just tons of rituals connected to Baltimore. Now in Gematria, Baltimore equals 41. And this shooting today, it comes... Make sure I get all this right. It comes 41 days before Trevor Lawrence's birthday. Trevor Lawrence, born October 6th, today's shooting 41 days before his birthday. And the mayor, who's actually telling the story, Donna Deegan, from her last birthday to the shooting is 179 days. And I might have done a really bad job with my screenshots here. Let me just get it up here so you guys can see it. Donna Deegan, her birthday, February 28th. And from that day to today's shooting, August 26th. Again, it's 179 days later. That's the 41st prime. Trevor Lawrence's upcoming birthday at the start of the season, 41 days from today. Big number with Baltimore. And again, this is what we're mapping out each year, how these stories are connected to the sports seasons, where it will be part of the story. You're watching the games, it's going to get brought up. Halftime game, they bring out the victims' families. The players wear a patch. They wear a T-shirt. They get on the news and talk about, we got to do something about gun violence. Again, it's because the Jesuits, it's funny how people make fun of the fact that I say that when I prove it all the time. The Jesuits who control these sports leagues and the news and who want to control people's minds through the things they control, like these star athletes and the news. They want to make sure the agendas, the talking points, the things they want floating around your head, they want to make sure they're getting you from all angles. And this is what we've been documenting for years. But also just the same patterns. Again, a white supremacist shooting in Dollar General in Jacksonville. On the anniversary of the Buffalo madman from Baltimore shooting up Jacksonville at a football video game tournament. And again, these stories just get happening, synced with the games. As we always say as well, Saturday is the shooting day. That's because Saturday has gematria of 107 and 109 like shooting, also like military. And in this case, the phrase racially motivated, which they're emphasizing, is also 107 and 109 like shooting in Saturday. A couple of years ago, it was the shooting at the Washington Nationals game in the big 107 ritual. Yesterday, shooting at the White Sox game as they stayed on 50 wins. Gun control 50. We've seen that one before with the Warriors season and a shooting outside the Warriors stadium just before the symbolic game and win. Okay, so other pieces of this that are important. We hit the 74 part pretty good. Now notice the story comes from Donna Deegan. And from the day she assumed office, July 1st, to today, August 26th, is 56 days later. Now look at what they're saying. Again, it started out with 4 dead, but then they changed it to, this is the latest now. It went from 4 to 3. Now it's 3 people killed in a racially motivated shooting in Jacksonville. Perhaps the 4th person is the shooter. So maybe that's why it's that way. But 3 and 56, again, just patterns that we're talking about all the time. And I realize they got to be redundant with it because it's like New York caller who calls in every week. He couldn't remember the thing about 3 and 56, so we'll just keep teaching the lesson. Actually, I'm going to keep up the reverse cipher too because I want you to notice the 79. But 3 is 56 and 79, and so is light. And in the 3rd verse of Genesis, God makes light. And those are the Abrahamic religions, or that's the story that's the basis for the Abrahamic religions, and there's 3 Abrahamic religions. Notice in reverse, Abrahamic's not 79 like the other two, it's 187, which is interesting because there's 187 chapters in the Torah, which are the basis of the Abrahamic religions. But with regards to the 56 and the 79, again, it's 56 days from the mayor's birthday, and it's 79 days after the death anniversary of Andrew Jackson, and this is in Jacksonville, named after Andrew Jackson. If you're new here, it's also a murder number. It's kind of like O.J. Simpson's birthday, July 9th, the man who supposedly got away with murder. We see a lot of football players die in the 83 ritual as well. If you're looking at the screen, in reverse, murder's 83. Football's also 83. And again, the song Murder by Numbers in 83. But if you're new here, Gematria is based on the alphabetic order forwards and backwards. And forwards and backwards numerology, there's 4 base ciphers. You learn them. You really see through these stories and how redundant these patterns are. So, again, 3 and 56. The story comes from the mayor today, Donna Deegan, 56 days after she takes office. With regards to 56 and it being racially charged, another point needs to be made about 56. If you write out Black Lives Matter, it equals 56. And recently in Washington, D.C., notice how in the same cipher, Washington, D.C. is 56, like Society of Jesus. Notice even Ronald Reagan's 56 in that cipher. In recent history, Ronald Reagan died on June 5th, the 5th day of the 6th month. That was the same day they painted Black Lives Matter in the streets of Washington, D.C. And Obama, the first black president, he first took office winning the 56th election, and so on and so forth. Big time number, 56, huge number with the Jesuits who are behind all of this. Society of Jesus, their formal title, 56. Again, if you're new here, literally talking about 3 and 56 all the time. Here, I know that recently the XXX Tentacion killers were in prison. That's just coming to my mind. One of a million examples. But, yeah, this was March 20th, 2023. XXX, triple X, right? 3 X's. XXX Tentacion 56. And this murder conviction came on the 79th day of the year. We're just talking about where 79 fits in with 3. And murder. And again, there it is one more time. But these are persistent patterns. And there's a reason for it. And again, the whole code is biblical. It's like this letter and number thing goes with Hebrew, which is what the Old Testament was originally written in. And it's obvious that with the new English translations of the Bibles and being printed around the same time the calendar system came out and English was standardized as a 26-letter alphabet, it's pretty obvious that a system was put in place, synced up with the Bible, synced up with the calendar, and that's why these rituals persist so perfectly time and time again. Let me see what other points need to be made, if any, right now. To read the story, 3 people were shot and killed Saturday at a Dollar General store in Jacksonville, Florida, in what law enforcement described as a racially motivated incident. The shooting was racially motivated and he hated black people, Jacksonville Sheriff T.K. Waters said at a news conference. He said the shooter, who was white and shot himself after the attack, left behind evidence that outlined his disgusting ideology of hate and his motive in the attack. All 3 victims were black, so that they're really emphasizing the race piece. The shooting happened blocks away from Edward Waters University, and the sheriff is T.K. Waters, a historically black school where students living on campus were told to stay in their residence halls. Let's take a look. I didn't go that far with the Edward Waters University, but let's take a look at that, because I think there's something to that. The sheriff being Waters, and is he a relative of Edward Waters, who the university is named after? So the school's on Kings Road as well. The zip is 32209. It was founded in 1866. So at some point this year it turns 157. The 37th prime, and shooting is also 37. Here it says, beginning in 1979, Edward Waters University was accredited as a 4-year institution by the Commission on Colleges of the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools. I want to find a more specific establishment date. Formed in 1866. Give me something more specific than 1866. Just with regards to 157, remember Kobe died in the huge 157 ritual, and then the wrestler that day in the Royal Rumble, his name was 157, Drew McIntyre, as Kobe dies on his 157th day of his age, and the next thing, the All-Star Game's first team to score 157 in the Kobe tribute game, and you know, Kobe's dad's high school, LaSalle, was turning 157 years old, and again, 157 is the 37th prime, and Kobe died on the 37-year anniversary of Bear Bryant, and both Bryant and Los Angeles are 37. The wrestler who just died, Bray Wyatt, on Kobe Bryant Day, his last match was the Royal Rumble, the 36th Royal Rumble before he died at age 36, and he fought a guy named the LA Knight who's in his 41st year of life, like Kobe died at age 41. So we're told. All right, I'm sure the establishment date is out there. I really would like to know. It could be real close. It might have opened up in the fall. School starting right around this time, I imagine. Edward Waters University. So it's a Christian school, okay? I'm reading that's a Christian school. Society of Jesus, right? Just the whole 74 thing. Jesus 74, like cross, like Messiah, like gospel, like parables, like Jesus Christ. And then just recently to find out that at the Capitol building in D.C., there's like a tribute to George Washington, almost as if he's Jesus. I was missing this. I haven't been to Washington, D.C. I just watched this on a documentary the other day. Under the Capitol building is an open tomb in tribute to George Washington. And the top of the building, it's painted like he's Jesus in the clouds. And again, all the Roman architecture and Jesus came out of Rome and Romans 74, like Holy Roman Empire. And again, like they keep playing the same old games with us by the same old code that goes way back. And that's why on the 74th day of the year, we remember the killing of Caesar by stabbing. Killing 74 like stabbing, Don't forget what they did to Bob Lee in that ritual. R.I.P. You know who else has the Ides of March birthday? I think it's Andrew Jackson. Let me check that real quick. I think Andrew Jackson's born on Ides of March. There was an assassination attempt on him. Yeah, Andrew Jackson was born on March 15th. Ides of March. Oh, snap. Oh, my God, you guys. Remember, okay, so again, the Nashville shooting seemed to point to August 26th. We talked about that then. Look at where Andrew Jackson died. He died in Nashville. Now we have the shooting in Jacksonville. Was there a football player hero at the Nashville shooting on March 27th? Okay, I was thinking about the connection through the Music City Miracle with Buffalo and Tennessee. I think that is part of it because, again, the Music City Miracle, and that was, 19 years later, Buffalo finally won a playoff game over Tennessee. And again, if you don't know the Music City Miracle, big-time football history, super controversial play, got away with a forward lateral, but the Titans beat the Bills. So that's Buffalo, Tennessee. Again, the shooter in Jacksonville 5 years ago to the day wearing the Buffalo jersey. And now, the shooting that pointed to this day was from Nashville. And now we see that Andrew Jackson died in Nashville. I'm glad I looked that up. I almost missed that. I almost missed the most important point. So, okay. To go back to why we were looking at August 26th, here's why. They said there was 152 shots in the Nashville shooting. Mass shooter 152. And remember, there was a lot to this. Both of the hero cop. Just too much to describe. The cop that got the most attention, who fired the shot that took down the shooter, he's Jesuit trained, Jesuit educated. Go back and look at it. But anyway, we noticed that 152 days later, you see how they emphasized over a period of months in addition to the 152 rounds? So I noticed 152 days later was the 238th day of the year. And I thought, okay, that headline's too perfect pointing to that date. And they like to do shenanigans on August 26th. There's several things that are special about this date. 127 is a huge number with the Illuminati and the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry and what we just talked about that went down in Hawaii. And hopefully still today nothing crazy happens in the world in terms of environmentally. But if you guys missed the work on Maui, definitely check that out. But anyhow, 152 is this big special number. Joe Biden, Kamala Devi Harris. Again, I have a prediction from when Biden first took office with something that could happen June 1st, June 2nd, 2024, around the 152nd day of the year. It's a lot to talk about with Maui, but Maui just burned 152 years after the Great Chicago Fire. And again, Joe Biden equals 64 and 152, and he was in Hawaii on the state's 64th birthday, and he's connected to Obama, who's from Hawaii, and it's a lot to explain. But this 152 number is huge with Joe Biden. Just like how the first President's Day with Joe Biden in office happened to fall on the 15th day of the second month, the 15th of February, the 46th day of the year for number 46. So anyway, this is why we were looking at this day. It was more than just the 152 bullets and then it went with mass shooter. It's that we already seen Afghanistan's government collapse on this day in the, it collapsed on the Jesuit order's birthday, and then the bombing was on this day. Anyway, here we are, right? So does it look like I'm tripping now? Because now we got a shooting in Jacksonville and Andrew Jackson died in Nashville. But anyway, and we're talking presidents, right? Andrew Jackson, now Joe Biden. So 152 days later, and some of this, I said it's also a Saturday, a favorite day for state-sponsored shootings, Saturday in shooting 107, 109. And here, they're quoting it right here. They're emphasizing the racially motivated. Like I've always said, when they put those emphasis on words, there's numbers behind it. Racially motivated, 107. There's other things to say about those numbers as well, but anyway, I think those are all the main points. We can go back and look more at the Nashville shooting in case you forgot about that one. United States of amnesia, you might have forgot. 86th day of the year, March 27th. Oh yeah, Audrey Hale had the manifesto. This was the one with the changing shoes and everything. Melissa Joan Hart from Teen Witch was there on the scene. Let's see. Highland Park shooting survivor Ash Bay Beasley was there. Remember the ritual they did with James Harden and the Michigan State victim? Oh my God, man. These people, man. If only James Harden would get on and stream about it. I had a lot of posts on this. I'm just trying to find the main one. Shooting at 33 Burton Hills Boulevard. That's right, you had the protests. Here, there's a lot to say about this, but this is a good point to just how they do this. The supposed shooter in Nashville, it was 192 days. She was born 192 days after the assault weapons ban in 94. And this 192 shown up in a number of shootings, huge in Uvalde. But assault weapons is 192, and assault weapons ban is 256, and the last assault weapons ban was on the 256th day of the year, a date written 13/9, like gun controls 139. They had to make a point that she drove this Honda Fit over and over like it was a key detail. And they said Audrey Hale was transgender. It's interesting that in the year 94, the movie Tranny Get Your Gun came out. And again, what are the odds of all of this? You know what I mean? Plus everything else. I wanted to pull up the cop. Let's see. Let me see if I can get it. That's the Nashville Christmas explosion. Let's see, body cam. Here we go. Look at this. They released the footage on the 87th day of the year. It's the Nashville shooting again. This is the one that tipped us off to today. Is body camera 87. And the hero cop is the hero cops, because you have you only had two different body cam footage perspectives. One was from Rex Engelbert, and the other was from Michael Colazzo. And they made a point about how Rex Engelbert was Jesuit educated. But notice how both of their names are 135 and 63, officers 135. And the shooting happened 135 days after the Superior General's birthday, the leader of the Jesuits. And again, then you start hearing about Rex Engelbert, the hero, the one who first knocked the officer down, or the shooter down. Their names are also 107, like shooting, number we're talking about today. Again, shooting 107 and 109, like Saturday, like Officer Michael Colazzo, like the Covenant School Knights, the name of the school. CIA has that 135 connection. It goes back to Bavaria, secret societies. It's where the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt founded the Illuminati. And remember, August 18th, the trip, because it's the day leaving 135 days left in the year. Bavaria is 135. Bavarian Illuminati is 188, like the date's 18/8. Every year, big Illuminati rituals on that date. This past year, a black youngster lost his third brother at age 33 on that day. But yeah, you know, I mean, it's just it's another victory for Gematria. Just having this stuff mapped out, and again, I mean, go back and watch the video from March about why we got to look out for August 26th. And now we see it's perfect, right? It's perfect because Andrew Jackson, who Jacksonville is named after. And there is more to this right now than I'm seeing. And the fact that this is happening as football gets underway, I mean, there's something more here. Let me check both teams' schedules real quick. Oh, I forgot to mention with regards to the football schedules, look who else Jacksonville plays. Besides playing the Colts to open the season, they play Baltimore on the Pope's birthday of all days. So the Jaguars will play the Ravens on the Pope's birthday. Go figure. Did you see that Nicaragua banned the Jesuits? And it's 201 years and change after Nicaragua's independence. Remember, the suppression of the Jesuits was a huge 201 ritual, and it makes me think it's not really happening. It's just for show. But yeah, here, let's get these team schedules up here real quick. Let's see if they play each other this year. Titans schedule. So this is the team that plays in Nashville. They play the Saints opening day. Can't get more Catholic than that. Play the Chargers on September 17th. There was something about September 17th and the Titans player whose father's home just blew up. 201 days after Joe Biden really made it clear he was going after natural gas. So it was a natural gas explosion. They played the Browns on September 24th, the franchise that became the current Baltimore Ravens team, the old Browns. Joe Burrow and the Bengals October 1st. Play the Colts again October 8th. The Titans also play Baltimore October 15th. So both Jacksonville and the Titans play Baltimore this year. That game, October 15th. It's the day leaving 77 days left in the year. Today's shooting comes on a 77 date anniversary. Remember, the first shooting of today was Boston. Boston, 7 shot. And Boston equals 77. Boston 77 like Red Sox. I think today, 35. This game's in 50 days. 50 days or a span of 51 like Nashville, like mass shooting. And let's look at the Jaguar. Or hold on, no, we can actually look at it this way. Tripping. The Titans do play the Jaguars this year on November 19th. Let's run the numbers on that real quick. November 19th, 2023. Or they got to play each other, right? They're in the same division. They're both AFC South, aren't they? AFC South teams. Yeah, that's right. They're both. Yeah, so they play. They also closed the year out. Yeah, of course, they're in the same division. March. So the first shooting was March 27th, the one in Nashville, and their first game is November 19th, 2023. That shooting is 237 days later. The prime factor is a 42. November 19th is the day leaving 42 days left in the year. Again, 42 is a signature number of the Jesuits and Freemasons. It's a number of mathematics, special pairing. It's also 33 weeks and days. Remember, the shooting was at Building 33, and they said 33 faculty worked there. And there was one other 33 I'm forgetting right now. But they also played January 7th. Let's check that real quick. If you count the full span of days, it's a total span of 41 weeks. And again, that number, you know, if I go back and look at that Nashville bombing on Christmas, I remember 41 was all over that thing too. 41 is a big number with this nation because USA is 41. 41 is the 13th prime, going with the 13 stripes, 13 colonies. The big secret society that has a lot of connections with sports, Skull and Bones through the Russell Trust. Skull and Bones, of course, the 41 organization. Like we talked about today the 41s are, it's 179 days after the mayor's birthday, the 41st prime, and 41 days before Trevor Lawrence's upcoming birthday, and they're starting the year against the Colts, the original Baltimore team, when the last Jacksonville shooting, the guy was from Baltimore 5 years ago to the day. Let's look more into Andrew Jackson's, or actually, hold on, before I do that. Let's also measure that shooting August 26th to, again, they play November 19th, 2023. That's interesting. So they're going to play 85 days after the shooting, Tennessee and Jacksonville. Again, the two cities that are connected. That's also a span of 86 days. If you count the span, it's 86. And remember, the shooting in Nashville was on the 86th day of the year, March 27th. But 85 is relevant too because National Football League is 85. The Jesuit motto is Tu Somnum Salvator. I want to go back. There was a lot of 86 with the Nashville shooting. Can't remember everything because it's been so long. Justin J. Pearson, who came out of that, got expelled from District 86 after the shooting on the 86th day of the year. Nashville's on the 86th meridian. The police chief in charge of the shooting was John Drake, which is 86. The woman who owned the school was Dr. Catherine Kuntz. They said she was killed, 86. Jesuits, of course, is 86. The Pope's 86 right now. So yeah, 86 was a big one. So isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting how we said through the Nashville shooting to look for another related paired mass shooting in the news on this day specifically, and then it's in Jacksonville, named after Andrew Jackson, who died in Nashville. And now, like we're always showing, it ends up being synced up with sports. What are the odds that from the shooting to that game is a span of 86 days? I mean, what are the odds of that? Here, let's also check that last game of the season. Could be the more interesting one. More will be on the line at that point. 134 days. And now I'm going to get annoyed with myself because, oh, snap, Zach. Here, look at this. Jacksonville Madden shooting at 1:34 p.m. I know I have this documented. Hold on. So they said the shooting happened at 1:34. I got this documented right here. Jacksonville Sheriff Mike Williams announced the shooter's identity as David Katz about 6 hours after the gunfire, which was reported at 1:34 p.m. Now, when I was doing this decode, there's a 134 somewhere in this story that I decoded, and I didn't write it down, because then later I was looking at this, and I saw that the shooting was at 1:34, and I was like, oh shit, what was the 1:34 I just saw a few minutes ago when I was decoding? Because if you've ever decoded, like I was just trying to focus on familiar number patterns. And I do talk about 134. It's a whole nother topic. It's a number that has to do with destruction. The phrase the Jesuits equals 134. But now seeing that the last game between these teams that are connected through these shootings is 134 days later, it's 19 weeks and 1 day as well. And Jacksonville is also 191. I got to go back and figure out what the other 134 was in this. Oh, let's do one other thing, actually. Let's look into this. Let's look into... By the way, Bray Wyatt's another big 201 ritual. The other day when I put out that short video on Bray Wyatt, it was quick because I didn't have a lot of time, but I got looking into it more. Another 201 ritual with Bray Wyatt. I'll have to do it deeper when I got a chance. You guys can read the post on my website. Posts, there's multiple, but hold on. With regards to the presidential parallel, I didn't see what I was looking for, but Jacksonville, Florida does equal 81. We talked about the shooting earlier this week in the Garfield neighborhood of Pittsburgh, how it was 81 weeks from Biden's bridge collapse incident in Pittsburgh on January 28, 2022, and how President Biden equals 81, so does President Trump, and Biden supposedly got 81 million votes beating him. But again, Garfield was assassinated in 1881, and there's been a lot of 81 stuff. This whole Trump thing in Atlanta, 81 months since he became president, and Lawrence is also 81. Trevor Lawrence is a big upcoming star quarterback who plays for Jacksonville with a lot of marketing around him. That's why this thing's so synced with him. But yeah, let me find that officer again. Let's look more into that Officer Waters. Where did I have his name at? TK Waters. Let us know it was next to Edward Waters University. All right, first, actually, we looked up the university. Let's look up Edward Waters himself. Who is Edward Waters? Can I not find Edward Waters? It's just coming up as... Interesting. I'm realizing that this church comes out of Philadelphia, too, who's the defending NFC champion. That's interesting. So this church is connected to the original Edward Waters University campus was destroyed by the Great Fire of 1901. Again, Jacksonville's 191. Society of Jesus is 191. But is Edward Waters a person? The school was renamed for Edward Waters, the third bishop of the AME Church. There's that 3 again. The original Edward Waters University campus. Yeah. Edward Waters was accredited as a junior college. Can we find this bishop? Edward Waters Bishop. So he came to fame in Philadelphia in 1836. Third bishop of the African Methodist Church, born on West River, Maryland. Ah, there's Maryland again. Okay. So it goes back to Baltimore, like the shooter the other year was from Baltimore. Elected bishop in May 1836 at Philadelphia, again, relevant with football right now, especially, always with the beginning of the country. Ordained by Bishop Morris Brown. He died in 1847, did Edward Waters, an old 47. The reflection is 74. Next year will be 177 years after his death. All right, let's look into this TK Waters, Jacksonville. Let's look into him. Jacksonville Sheriff Bio. Here we go. Sheriff TK Waters. He went to high school in West Germany, so I'm guessing he was raised in a military family. It's my guess. Born on a military base, I imagine. Bachelor of Science in Interdisciplinary Studies with a minor in Homeland Security from Liberty University Police Academy, August 1993. That's interesting to me. Homeland Security made after 9/11, 93 when the World Trade Center bombing happened. Again, Homeland Security made in response to September 11th, which was a INSIDE space JOB. Should we try calling? They're on the East Coast, though. It's already 8:30. I'll try it out anyway. Let's see.
We've reached the administrative offices of the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. We are currently closed. Our office hours are 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. If you have an emergency, please hang up and dial 911. If you have a non-emergency and need to speak with someone immediately, please hang up and dial 630-0500. You have reached the administrative offices of the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. We are currently closed.
Shoot, no way to leave a message right now. I was hoping I could find where he became sheriff. Sheriff TK Waters. Get some more information on this guy. It's got to be more. There he is again, Sheriff TK Waters. His term ends July 1st, 2027. Waters won re-election for Jacksonville Sheriff in Florida outright after the general election of March 21st, 2023. So he'd been there, and he won re-election. Wonder when he first got in. Doesn't say when he first got in. I'm just curious, though, from the re-election to this. March 21, 2023. It's 158 days later. Not an arbitrary number. Freemasonry 158. The best 158 ritual I've seen to date. There's been a number of them, but it'll always be Boris Johnson 158 replacing Theresa May as Prime Minister in London, where modern Freemasonry began. Again, Freemasonry has that 158. When did Sheriff TK Waters, let's see, first win election? Usually there's better bios for these guys. Remember we had that ritual out here in Yakima on the 24th day of the year when Yakima equals 24 and the Masonic Lounge in Yakima is 24, and they said the shooting suspect was going west on Route 24. And then we found out that the guy who was on TV, Jesuit educated the sheriff in that town, or the man in charge, police chief, whatever it was. He went to Regis in Denver. Yeah, I'm sure the information's out there, but it's not popping up as easy as it does with some sheriffs. So, TK Waters and the Waters University, though. What are the odds of that? There's probably something I'm missing with the whole Waters thing. Sheriff TK Waters, let's see. Interesting. There's definitely some interesting numbers there. But yeah, I mean, that's why the lessons we've gone out and taught, yeah, I mean, those lessons just keep persisting. So, and if you missed the Boston one earlier, again, today's date numerology 77, Boston 77. So our Red Sox playing a symbolic game against the Dodgers. Mookie Betts went from Boston to LA. Starting pitcher for the Dodgers today came in 11-6 for the year, like how it was the 116th World Series between those teams. Here, let me put my eyes on the chat. You guys see anything I didn't see? There's another fire today in Hawaii. Is that true? I see they got the missing number down to 388. I don't know if there's another fire. You told me about 826 too? Okay, we've been talking about it all year. Good job. You know, we called this day out for a mass shooting back in March. And again, that one was in Nashville where Andrew Jackson died. Now we're in Jacksonville, named after Andrew Jackson. What are the odds? Jacksonville's 201 years old right now? Let me look that up too. That goes with the Jesuits getting banned in Nicaragua while the country's 201 years after its independence. Jacksonville establishment date 1822. So yeah, this year it turns 201. About 201 years old, it says right there. Funny. June 15th, 201 years ago. Another 201. What do you know? Those damn Jesuits. That Bray Wyatt's dead 201 days from his anniversary of his pro debut. The shooting's 72 days after the 201st birthday. Of course, the Jesuit order is 201 and Jesuit order is also 72. And both of those numbers have a lot to do with the sun and the time model we're on. And yeah, good one. It was incorporated 191 years ago. I'd say that's also important. Where the Jesuit order is 201, Society of Jesus is 191. And so is Jacksonville. So it was incorporated 191 years ago. Interesting. It'll turn 192 years old 2 days before the Super Bowl. The assault weapons thing. Again, that's been in a number of shootings. Interesting, interesting. Okay. Shout out to Gematria Sense. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, we did see it back in March. We've called a lot of dates for what should be in the news on those days by following this knowledge for a lot of years. Nicholas, I'm not sure where your posts are on there, but great job. Okay. Here, just since I brought up the some of these other topics, let me see. I got to take some screenshots there and build on that post. Okay. Yeah, we definitely made some good additions. All right, let me pull this up here real quick. Here, let me just show you the Nicaragua thing real fast. Nicaraguan government bans Jesuit order and says all its property will be confiscated. And what they did is the leadership of the country took over their university there and said that they were breeding terrorists on their campus. And haven't we been talking about this? How it's obvious the Jesuits recruit their top scumbags like Trump and Biden and Cuomo and Newsom and Fauci and use them by the code and dupe 1 million people in the process. So many people get offended about me saying Trump's like their biggest puppet ever, Mr. Fordham. But yeah, look at this. The day of the ban was August 16th, right? And Nicaragua's 168, so 16/8. So I'm not thinking this ban is sincere. I'm thinking this is all for show. They got the reputation down there. The people are catching on down there. So they got to make it look like they did something. Nicaragua, the other way, instead of being 168, if you run it forward to 75, that's how old the Superior General turns this year. The Superior General is 74 right now. He'll turn 75 November 12th. And Nicaragua is also 39 like Arturo Sosa. Again, you got the 4 base ciphers, and you see how 3 of the 4 ciphers with Nicaragua make so much sense right there. Nicaragua in the other cipher is 60, like order, hot number right now with the 60th U.S. election coming up with all this, chaos being foreshadowed when in 1860 the election broke out the Civil War, and in 1960 we got JFK who got assassinated. But the Independence Day for Nicaragua, September 15th, 1821. That means right now Nicaragua is 201 years old and 11 months. And it was... AP put up a story about this on August 23rd, and it actually happened a week earlier on August 16th as we covered. But yeah, 201 years. And I just noticed that from the Independence Day for the U.S. to Nicaragua, 74 days. Interesting. While the Superior General 74, very Roman, like 201 with the Jesuits who served the Roman Catholic Church. And the AP story focused on how the leader of Nicaragua said it was a center of terrorism, the university that they took over. Center of Terrorism 238, AP story on 23/8. The Nicaraguan leader was, in the story, is wearing a cap with the all-seeing eye on it. And they saved the news for 23/8 when Eye of Providence is also 238. All-Seeing Eye 119 and 56, like UCA, the acronym for the campus. But yeah, there's another 201 Jesuit one for the archive. It's like, again, the Jesuit suppression was a huge 201 ritual. It was banned after the first 201 days of the year passed, and then it came back in a big 201 ritual. And this Brady Wyatt, let me see, I have a few posts on his death. Is this the right one? This is not the right one. Or it might actually be the older post. Hold on. Just want you to see what they did with Bray Wyatt in 201. Again, they said Bray Wyatt died at age 36 from a heart attack. He died on Vince McMahon's 78th birthday. His birth name was Wyndham Rotunda, 78. And dead at 36 was he, Bray Wyatt, 36, like heart attack, like Wyndham, his birth first name. Wyndham's 36 forwards and backwards. If you run it backwards, Bray Wyatt's 54. Triple H, who's 54 years old, confirmed the death. The death was confirmed on Kobe Bryant Day. Remember, Kobe died the Sunday before Super Bowl 54, and Kobe being Bryant's 54, like Jesuit order, like sun. Their logo is the sun. In their logo is the letters IHS, which equals 36, with the 3 nails for triclavianism. And triclavianism equals 201, like the Jesuit order. Bray Wyatt died on the 201st day from the anniversary of his pro wrestling debut, February 9th, 2009. He died on 24/8, August 24th through December 31st. Those are the last 130 days of the year. Notice how human sacrifice is 130 and 248. A human sacrifice on the cross in a triclavianism ritual, 201, right? He's dead 14 years later. The generations to Jesus are divided into sections of 14. The words dead and end equal 14. With regards to all the 54, the day before that, Terry Funk died 54 days after his birthday. And think of Roddy Piper, the wrestler who was in They Live, came out 201 days after his birthday. And They Live, Cable 54 is the enemy of the world. When Roddy Piper puts on the glasses, he can see the news story and see all this information that he can't see without them. He can put on the TV and see all this information that he can't without him. With the glasses, he can see who's running the show. Without him, he can't. Remember the motto in that show, They Live, We Sleep. Check out the Gematria, They Live, We Sleep. It'll remind you of Jacksonville. It'll remind you of the Society of Jesus. Look at this. They Live, We Sleep. 191.74, right? Jacksonville, 191.74. Again, Jesus 74, like killing, like cross, like the rest of the list. Talking about Kobe. Kobe dead in the 74th NBA season. Jordan's father dead on the side of Route 74. Oh, yeah. And they're saying Bray Wyatt had COVID earlier this year, so he hasn't wrestled since Royal Rumble, and the COVID made his heart weak. Look at this. His last match was, again, the day of the Royal Rumble. Bray Wyatt. And he fought the LA Knight, who's 40 right now, meaning he's in his 41st year of life. He'll turn 41 later this year. Kobe Bryant equals 41 like LA. Kobe dead at age 41 on the Pope's 41st day of his age while traveling from Catholic Mass. This year's Royal Rumble was in San Antonio, which is also 41 town. And there's some other things that are real interesting here, but just about the COVID thing. His last match, Bray Wyatt. You see how COVID's got the Gematria 28? COVID's got 28 in the same cipher, so was kill. We just talked about how Josh Green, the governor of Florida, again, the new governor who watched Maui burn up on his 247th day in office while the U.S. is 247. But again, see how kill is the exact same in every cipher as Maui? Again, all these numbers matter with kill and Maui. They're all the exact same in every cipher. Right after number 44's birthday, he's from Hawaii. It burns up 4 days later. Synced up with The Rock and Jay-Z, who both have the Hawaii connections. Hawaiian Sophie and The Rock playing the king and Maui. But right before Maui's 64th birthday, and then again from Josh Green being at the United Nations talking Green New Deal to Maui burning up, a span of 28 days. And anyhow, Bray Wyatt, his last match on the 28th day of the year. Triple H confirms the death 28 days after his birthday. And I think I got it here. Didn't I put it here? Maybe I put it somewhere else. I want you to see the 28 thing real quick. There it is. From the last match, January 28th, to his death, August 24th, was 208 days later, like 2-8. Again, 28 days after Triple H. COVID, they're saying that weakened the heart. You know, you're just going to have to look at the screen on this one, say these things out loud, you just never know when they'll take you down. But the da-da-da, which was declared a decade before everyone started getting da-da-das. Notice the 88. You know, other words that are not nice have the 88 like poison. But this 88's all over right now, and Triple H, when spelled correctly, is 88. And think about what H is, right? It's the 8th letter. Triple H, 333, H, 38. Triple H also equals 38 in addition to 88. But the guy who he fought, Shawn Michael Ricker, who's the LA Knight, his name is also 88. It's like, what's up with that? And his name's also 308. And if you're new here, those numbers have to do with death. You know, like Maui getting wrecked with the fire on 88. Another 38 word. Fire 38 gets destroyed on 88. Synced up with Jay-Z and Kanye West, who put out their album Watch the Throne on 88. They have the Ends in Paris song, like the Climate Accords, like the Jesuits from Paris. Right before the 64th birthday, like 64 spaces on the chessboard, like International Chess Day is the 201st day of the year, and it came out of Paris. Anyway. I'm pretty sure, you know, the cooties is coming back in a big way. You already hear people saying, put the mask back on. Sweet Lady was saying her coworkers are ready for their next booster. They're already prepped. They're just totally ready for it. You know. Headlines like this is what builds the narrative, right? All these little stories, drops in the bucket. Oh, man, Bray Wyatt, his death at such a young age had to do with COVID? Oh, man, didn't I just hear about an outbreak of COVID? I just read an opinion piece about it's time to put the mask back on. Just watching the news talking head, he said we got to do something about all these conspiracy theorists online who are still getting out misinformation going against COVID and creating Maui misnarratives, and now they're probably even questioning the Jacksonville shooting. What do you do about these crazy people questioning everything? So, anyhow, I think we got all the main points in there, and the marijuana thing is interesting because remember, if you write out 420, it equals 88. 420 is 88. And again, the 420 thing came from California, which is 88. And the thing about marijuana is that's not its real name, right? Its real name is cannabis. They put marijuana on it. That when the name became marijuana, the stigma came with it that it was bad, that like it was this poisonous, dangerous thing. So I wouldn't say just because marijuana equals 88, that means it's poison. That was like the idea they were planting in people's mind when they started using that word. Cannabis has different numbers. So, for the record, which are also interesting numbers. Yeah. I think those are the main points. If you missed what I showed earlier about Trump and his 24/8 turning in before the U.S. turns 248 years old, you definitely want to make sure you go see that video. That was out earlier today. All right, but yeah, we'll leave it there for now, you guys. Again, thanks to everyone who hits the like and the share. Always appreciate the support. And remember, use my website, GematriaEffectNews. I don't make videos on every news story. Sometimes I just post. And yeah, it's the best place to stay caught up. And if you want to learn more about this knowledge, again, the books I got on there, instant downloads, ebook versions. The ebooks are nice for these books because they're big and full of information, and you can search for things very efficiently. It's funny to think letters and numbers been out since before that that last Jacksonville shooting happened. And if you read the chapter on letters or the chapter in letters and numbers on mass shootings, you'll see how often just the same numbers happen over and over. 74. That book was written before the last Jacksonville shooting even happened 5 years ago to the day. Number games. I started that book with 74. It's a good starting place for talking about gematria because the number is used so redundantly. And the nation born on 7-4, where holiday and Independence Day are 74 as well. Again, what are the odds that 3 of the first 5 U.S. presidents would die on 7-4? All right. Yeah, that's the website's GematriaEffect.news. Under the ebooks tab, you can find it. And can you guys let me know if the calculator's working now for Android? I don't have an Android thing to test it on. But will you guys let me know if that's updated? It's never had a problem on Apple. Recently, it had a problem downloading the offline Gematria calculator on the Play Store. Totally free to download. I just want to make sure the web team got it fixed. So I heard anyone saying lately that it didn't work, so I'm hoping it is. Here, Nicholas Wilkerson really wants me to share his post. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I see Evan's post. Are you Evan on there? I see Evan is posting a lot. Maybe you're Evan? Okay, I found you. I found your post. Nick Wilkerson, okay. Person, place, or thing. 201-93-312-96. This started off as a wrestler post, and everything, it'll all be linked and quickly derailed back to Cowboys. Did you mean to say derailed back to Cowboys and Bill? Like, derailed's coming off the tracks. I'll check it out later, Nick. But yeah, thanks for doing a decode. It just looks like the ideas are kind of skipping all over the place. So anyway, you might have it, but yeah, they just... I try to draw straight arrows when I do decodes. You know, just like Drew McIntyre winning the Royal Rumble the day that Kobe dies, and his name's 157 after Kobe dies on his 157th day of his age. You know, like, that's really easy to see that's a ritual. And let's not forget it was the 33rd Royal Rumble and Kobe's 33. But, and now this other guy dies on Kobe Bryant Day who's a wrestler, and his last fight was the LA Knight. Like, I know something's there, so... It's like you don't have to stretch and make any, connections and leaps. It should just all be there. And it is, just day after day as we decode. But keep it up. And says the calculator works great. Have you downloaded it recently, though? Because it was a recent thing. There was some like update on the Android store, and then it made it so that the calculator needed to be updated. And I got billed for updating the calculator, so I want to make sure it's working. Well, Nick, I'll take a look at it. It can be a separate presentation later. Here, let me just see if there's any more details on this story since we ended it. We're still there. 3 people killed in racially motivated shooting. I'll read the full reporting before we sign all the way off in case there's some new detail they threw in here. 3 people were killed Saturday after a gunman opened fire and targeted black people at a Dollar General store in Jacksonville, Florida. Officials said this shooting was racially motivated and he hated black people, Jacksonville Sheriff T.K. Waters said at a news conference. Waters said the shooter, who he described as a white man in his 20s, shot and killed himself after the attack. The suspect left behind what the sheriff described as 3 manifestos outlining his disgusting ideology of hate. 3 manifestos and killed 3 people. And his motive in the attack, remember it's like when you unfold handcuffs, how each one makes a 3, and like how police equals 33, like masonry, like secrecy, like order, like federal. All 3 victims were black. Waters said the shooter lived in Clay County, C, the 3rd letter. Pimp C, dead on Jay-Z's 33rd birthday. Waters said the shooter lived in Clay County, Florida, south of Jacksonville, with his parents and told his father by text to check his computer. The father found documents described by Waters as manifestos and called authorities. But Waters said by the time authorities were alerted about the manifestos, the gunman had already started the attack in the Dollar General. You know, the thing that stands out to me about this right now, too, is just like these Dollar General stores are not, it's harder times right now. It's like some going out of business, closing out sale in the fascist U.S. The shooting started shortly after 1 p.m. Eastern Time, blocks away from Edward Waters University, a historically black school where students living on campus were told to stay in their residence halls. Jacksonville Mayor Donna Deegan, again, we talked about why it's 56 days after she became mayor, the Black Lives Matter number, the number that goes with 3, said the gunman barricaded himself inside the store after the attack. It was not immediately clear if victims were shot inside or outside the store. The sheriff said investigators believe the gunman acted alone and wore both a tactical vest and mask. He was armed with an AR-15. Again, they're really concerned about the tactical gear and the AR-15s because, you know, if there was ever going to be like a militia rise up against this fascist government that needs to be overthrown and it's long overdue. Remember, Thomas Jefferson said it should happen every 19 years, like the 19-year cycle of the moon. He got it on 7-4, Buffalo on Jefferson Street. But again, I mean, that's the kind of gear you would need if you're going to have a fighting chance. Little protection and a capable weapon. So this is really about creating these stories, these emotional stories of these crazy people to disarm the people who might one day disarm this tyrannical government that creates these stories by a code, which we've proven. I see the shootings on the 2100 block as well, big Jesuit number, big Saturday number also. We talked about that earlier. Waters showed photos of the weapons which showed swastikas were drawn on one of the guns with white paint. We have opened a federal civil rights investigation and we will pursue the incident as a hate crime, said Sherry Onks, special agent in charge of the FBI Jacksonville office. Hold on, I haven't called the FBI in a minute. FBI taking calls on Saturday. May 26, 2023. This week, FBI Jacksonville SAC Sherry Oaks joined Sheriff T.K. Waters and other local leaders to call for an end to the rise in violence against law enforcement. I'm curious about how many days that was before this. That was May 26th. We're 3 months later. 3 months later, right? 3 dead, 3 manifestos. 92 days or a span of 93. And again, that's the big Saturn number. Again, Saturn is 93 and 21. The shooting on the 2100 block. 21 is the 6th triangular number. Saturn's the 6th planet, which Saturdays is named after. Interesting. Let's see. Call FBI Jacksonville. Let's try it out. The FBI usually hangs up. See if they hang up this time. They hate when I'm dropping the Gematria effects. Isn't it funny? Just look at the number 248, man. That's the number with Trump and what's going on this week.
Thank you for calling the Jacksonville, Florida office of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. This call may be recorded. If this is an emergency, please hang up and dial 911. If you are a member of law enforcement and need immediate assistance, press 1. To provide a tip or report suspicious activity, press 2. To report internet fraud, identity theft, and other scams, contact the FBI Internet Crimes Complaint Center at www.ic3.gov. FBI employment information is also online at fbijobs.gov. For media or community outreach, press 3. If you know your party's extension, press 4. For all other calls, press 1 for further assistance. If you would like to hear these...
FBI, how can I help you?
Yes, is this the Jacksonville office?
Yes, sir. How can we help you?
Yes, I'm calling about the shooting reported today at the Dollar General.
Okay, sir. What kind of information do you have for us?
Yeah, I really would like for you to take this seriously. I'm an author, and I've been working on a pattern of mass shootings in the United States. It's been going on for decades. I have 2 books on this subject. And earlier this year, on March 27th, I predicted that there'd be a significant mass shooting in the news on this day for a specific reason. And I'm just looking back at what I talked about, and here we are now in Jacksonville, named after Andrew Jackson. What the clue was for the shooting on this day, it came from the Nashville shooting. Andrew Jackson died in Nashville, and now here we are on this day, and we have a shooting in Jacksonville. And part of what I was talking about is a very numerical pattern that is encoded in seemingly all of these mass shootings. And it's a number that goes back to this nation's origins, July 4th, and how 3 of the first 5 U.S. presidents died on July 4th, 7-4. If you have a minute to look up my books, my name is Zachary K. Hubbard. My books are called Letters and Numbers and Number Games. And in both books, I make a major point about the number 74 and how it's a number of killing. That's why we're on a calendar year that remembers the killing of Caesar by stabbing on the Ides of March, March 15th, the 74th day of the year. And funny enough, that's Andrew Jackson's birthday as well, March 15th. But today's shooting, they're saying it's a white supremacist with swastikas on the gun, and he killed 3 black men and had 3 manifestos. Again, 3, 3, and 74. I always educate about how they put these numbers together in these types of stories, just like how in the Nashville story, they had to tell you that 33 teachers worked at the building and there were 33 faculty at the school. From my research, where these numbers go back to is it's biblical. It's the crucifixion of Jesus at age 33. There's something called Gematria. Manly P. Hall wrote about this in his book from 1926, The Secret Teachings of All Ages. In Gematria, it's the practice of coding numbers into words. The word killing equals 74, but so does the word Jesus and cross and Messiah in gospel and parables. And, a recent mass shooting in the U.S. that was blamed on a white supremacist was the Buffalo Tops shooting on the 74th birthday of Israel. And it reminds that this shooting in Jacksonville comes on the 5-year anniversary of the Madden tournament shooting, which they blamed on a man wearing a Buffalo Bills jersey. If you go back and look at the story, they said he was a Jewish gamer from Baltimore, but who was a Bills fan. They said that's who shot up the incident exactly 5 years ago today. And for the record, in Gematria, all those words that equaled 74, killing, Jesus, cross, Messiah, gospel, parables, the word Jewish also equals 74. Just the other year, we had the 7-4 shooting in the Chicago neighborhood where they filmed Ferris Bueller's Day Off and they blamed it on a Jewish rapper. But the same pattern over and over. The shooting in the Carolinas the other year at the historically black church blamed on Dylan Stormroof. They said they arrested him on Interstate 74, and then people got provoked because they said the cops took him to a Burger King. And, today's shooting's on Kings Road, and King Charles is 74 right now. And earlier this year on King Charles' 74th birthday, the news story was the killings at two separate colleges. One was the University of Idaho on Kings Road, and then the other was at the University of Virginia Cavaliers campus. And Cavaliers are those who fought for King Charles in the English Civil War. So anyway, I know I'm skipping around, but all of these stories are defined by this number 74 from the Buff.
Do you have a specific crime that you want to report?
The crime, it looks like the crime is our federal government and what really runs it. I mean, why did 3 of the first 5 U.S. presidents die on 7/4? 2 of them die on July 4th, 1826, and the third dies in the year 1826, or 1826 days later on 7/4. The point is there is something running our government that is not American, and it seems very Roman and very Jesuit. And again, if this is foreign to you and you work for the federal government now, I want you to look into the history of the Jesuits in this country. They were just banned in Nicaragua. But again, Lincoln blamed the Civil War on the Jesuits. The founders, Thomas Jefferson and John Adams, were both worried about the Jesuits only to die on 7/4. The point I'm making is something that's historical, that was warned about, that others have written about. It's just as 2023 and we have the internet and it's easier to connect the dots further. I think the federal government, the people who work for it, need to take a serious look at who's actually calling the shots and what's really going on in these incidents of these perfectly, seemingly scripted shooting events where the people are never really, again, in all these mass shootings we hear about, we're never really shown any evidence of what's truly going on. But we are told by politicians in D.C., that we should have an emotional response, and in some cases that we should give up rights and liberties and things that were given to us by the founders, because the founders knew that our government could be hijacked by something tyrannical, so we should have a way to protect ourselves and overthrow it if there is tyranny. I mean, Thomas Jefferson said there should be a revolution every 19 years. So based on that, how overdue are we? And remember, I just talked about the parallel with Buffalo. Go back and look at that Buffalo shooting because it was on Jefferson Avenue. So again, the reason I'm calling in is because I've been looking at this for a long time, and somebody somewhere in that federal government who's a white hat, if you will, really does need to help out the people, and people need to start asking more questions and looking into what's going on. And if you think I'm crazy, go back and watch what I said on March 27th about why we should expect a big mass shooting in the news on this Saturday, August 26th. And here it is, the headline story, as they try to provoke another race war. That's also part of the game, which goes back to Lincoln blaming the Civil War on the Jesuits. So please do look into everything I've said, and I appreciate you staying on this long, because normally when I call the FBI, they hang up. And that makes me feel like even the people at the phone line, again, they're not listening to the right things. You look into the information I'm talking about today, you'll see how persistent all of this is. And you'll watch. More stories like this will come with the same patterns. So.
Okay, well, thank you and have a good day.
You too. Take care. All right, hold on, you guys. I got someone at the door. Sit tight. Okay. Our mailman's always giving each other's mail. So we always get each other's mail. So anyway, my neighbor got my mail. No, it was actually my neighbor. Yeah, anyway, it might have been too much information, but at the same time, if they go back, they record the calls, they listen, they might actually, who knows? That was the longest the FBI ever stayed on the line, so. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just like people, they won't swallow this pill, so. All right, let me say thank you. Somebody else donated $2. Who was that? Thank you. 7/12 by Future. Same day it came out on Biden's birthday. Biden, who met with Putin on Pearl Harbor, 7/12, to discuss Russia-Ukraine before it blew up. Let's see. Remember how the masks came off on, what was it, on Future's birthday? Guy who has the Mask Off album. That was another joke. All these jokes. Where is a better song? Future song. Is there a wiki for it? 7/12 release date. Let's see. That Catholic church that just survived in Maui's at the address 7/12. He released it on April 29th. Ignatius Loyola Day. Looks like that's when it was released. What'd you say? Same B-Day Biden. I guess I don't understand the comment. Are you saying Future has the same birthday as Biden? November 20th, is that what you're saying? Okay, Future's born the same day as Biden, November 20th. At the end of Scorpio. He's going to turn 40 later this year. I'll have to look at the song more and see what else there is to it. Something in the lyrics, the way it's synced with what happened. I'll take a look. Maui burst is 7/12 as well, huh? Crazy. Jay-Z better look out. He hangs at the 50th second at Hawaiian Sophie right after the 50th hip-hop anniversary. I've been in the FBI's database forever, you guys. I had the FBI come to my house. I'm not worried about calling the FBI. They already came over here. That was back in August of 2018. It's been over 5 years since the FBI came out here. It was August 21st, 2018. They were talking all kinds of nonsense. Jacksonville for the Super Bowl. I mean, there's been a lot of deaths for Baltimore, as we know, and they factor in here too because the shooter 5 years ago was from Baltimore. But Jaguars is 23. 5 years ago was the Madden shooting. Madden's 23. Trevor Lawrence is 23 years old to start this season. He'll turn 24 pretty soon, like the Super Bowl's in 24. But remember the Jaguars, man, they had that great comeback for us last year in the playoffs. I loved the Jaguars to win that game. They were down a ton at halftime. Came back by the numbers. Tony Dungy gave up his son. He called it. Remember, yeah, right, the Matrix enjoyed that game very much. He got some grocery money. But yeah, Jacksonville, that if I'm wrong about all the stuff they're doing with Baltimore, they're a team to think about. Yeah, we can check real quick. How many days is it from today to the Super Bowl? That Super Bowl, though, it's on the Vatican's birthday, and you just can't get more Catholic than Maryland. This incident came 24 weeks and a day before the Super Bowl. 24 weeks and a day. So yeah, I will leave it there, you guys. I'm going to go touch up that post with some of the additional finds we made, how the man the college is named after, how he goes back to Maryland. Again, we're going to keep connecting the dots. As time goes on, as more stories unfold, the picture should become more clear. So, again, Baltimore was in that blackout Super Bowl, right? Mountain Dew put out the blackout flavor this year on Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, the only black American with a holiday named after him, or the flavor's pitch black, right? Pitch black. Ravens in black. That blackout Super Bowl was in New Orleans. New Orleans was supposed to have the Super Bowl this year, but it got moved to Vegas with the new stadium. Then Derek Carr went from the Raiders to the Saints. So, there's something going on. I don't get it. Jay-Z just did a song with Lil Baby who turned down $500K for the feature. I don't get about the turning down money part. Yeah, Super Bowl 47, the Harbaugh Bowl, John over Jim. John equals 47. He won Super Bowl 47. Jim does not equal 47. This year's Super Bowl's on 2/11, the 47th prime. Maryland equals 47. All the stuff we've been talking about, Maryland, the Ravens, this whole offseason. Yeah, we'll look more at it. I think tomorrow we might do our first football live stream on Patreon for the season. So, thank you again to everyone who supports the work. And until next time, True Sicker.